Sangeeta, you can start.
The webinar is already started, right?
Yeah. Yes. Recording is also started.
Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see all the members log in large numbers on a lovely Saturday morning. This is the first CPE event after the newly elected MC members have taken up. We are as excited as you all are as we take this event forward. We aim to add value to each one of the member of Muscat chapter. So please give us your feedback and valuable suggestions to serve you better. For the last 1 year and more, we all are affected directly or indirectly by the pandemic. Please join us in silent prayer for not only Oman and India, but for the whole world. Let's all close our eyes and pray for all our family, members, friends, extended family who are affected by the pandemic directly or indirectly. Let's also pray for all those who have left us on heavenly abode. Thank you for joining us in prayer. As they say, collective prayers have great impact. I hope the positive vibes from all our prayers reach far and wide and free the whole world from the clutches of pandemic and make Earth fuller, greener, happier again. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. With this positive note, we will go ahead to begin our event. To begin with, let's honor and respect both the countries. First, so please join us as we play the national anthem. I request all of you to kindly stand up wherever you are as we play the national anthem, followed by the motto song.
والعبيد الرقاب. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता. पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा. विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा. तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे. गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता. जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Now we will play the ICAI motto song.
य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति. कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः. तदेव शुक्रं तदेव शुक्रब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा. तदेवामृतमुच्यते. तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन. एतद्द्वैता 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 एतद्द्वैता.
I request you all to kindly take your seats with the next agenda of today's event. Now we'll go to the welcome address. For this, I request our chairman, CA Ravi Deora, to kindly address the audience.
Thank you, Sangeeta ji. Respected Chief Guest, Dr. Khalfan Al Barwani, Chairman CBFS and Vice President CBO. Guest of honors, His Excellency Munu Mahawar ji, Indian Ambassador to Oman. CA Nihar Jambusaria ji, President ICAI. Mr. Moosa Lawati, Acting Dean of Academic Affairs. Dr. Rajesh, Director in CBFS. Ms. Kala, our learned speakers, Dr. Ashminder Singh Bahal ji, and my dear friends and colleagues. I feel it's a great opportunity and a proud moment to welcome you all as the Chief Chairman of the ICAI Muscat chapter to our first CPE event, Impactful Leadership. Learned speaker, Dr. Ashminder Singh Bahal, ex-Indian Air Force Air Commodore and Dean of the Center of Excellence, ICAI, along with Mrs. Asha Shridhar, expert leadership coach, would be sharing unique tips to groom your leadership qualities. I will take a few more minutes to remind you that your managing committee has circulated a feedback survey. Thank you for those who have filled. Those who have yet to do them, please, I request to kindly fill it soon, and survey will be help the MC to serve you better. We have also initiated monthly newsletter. We seek your contribution in the form of articles, poems, which you have written, and you are welcome to send us your family members' achievements, which you would like to be included in the newsletter. We are currently reviewing the status of membership and would request you to support us by renewing your membership for the year and promote ICAI Muscat chapter within your circle to add more members. Any referral given by the members will be recognized in our newsletter. We also wish to thank you of all for your wholehearted support for COVID helping drive and your contribution to the Indian Community Welfare Fund, PM Care Funds, and other direct supports to the community. We have lined up various activities and will inform you in due course. With this note, to conclude, I would like to quote that leaders are not born as leaders. They become leaders due to their determination to serve the society and courage to execute it. Thank you. Over to you, Sangeeta ji. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Reviji. You have rightly said, leaders are not born, they are made. I'm sure this event will make all of our attendees and audience great leaders. May I request CA Sajeev Surendran to introduce our chief guest for today, Dr. Khalfan Mohammed Al-Barwani.
Thank you, Sangeeta ji. It's a great pleasure and privilege to welcome and introduce Dr. Khalfan Mohammed Al-Barwani, Vice President, Investment, Treasury and Market Operation at the Central Bank of Oman, Chairman of College of Banking and Financial Studies, CBFS, over 32 years of experience in different capacities of various sectors, including upstream oil industry, central banking, and higher education. He has authored and co-authored academic and non-academic publications, presented a number of policy and technical papers in international and regional conferences. Mr. Khalfan holds a doctorate of philosophy in economics in the field of international money and finance from Claremont Graduate University, Los Angeles, dual Masters of Arts degree, one in international economic policy, and other in applied economics, and Bachelor of Science in Business Administration in Economics from University in US. With this, we welcome on behalf of Managing Committee and members of Muscat chapter, Dr. Khalfan Mohammed Al-Barwani to address the members. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your warm welcome. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to address all of you at this impactful leadership event organized by ICAI Muscat chapter and sponsored by the College of Banking and Financial Studies in Muscat. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has reached a high global rank, coming second largest professional accounting body with a proven 72-year track record of excellence. Its Muscat chapter was set up in 2008 under the sponsorship of the College of Banking and Financial Studies, CBFS, by way of an MOU between CBFS and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. The MOU was subsequently renewed in 2016 and 2021. I am happy to inform you that the last meeting of the Board of Directors of CBFS, we have approved the renewal of the MOU for another 5 years after expiry in December 2021. It is laudable that ICAI Muscat chapter has steadily and consistently pursued its primary objectives of providing a solid forum for professional development and supporting initiatives for local capacity development in the accounting domain through its various knowledge building programs and an annual international conference on a current theme relevant to the accounting profession. We appreciate that despite the challenge that have been brought about by the COVID pandemic, the chapter continues to organize such programs through a seamless transition to virtual mode. The chapter has also collaborated with CBFS in organizing training courses on specialized topics under the annual training plan, most recently on IFRS 9 and its impacts on problem loan recognition and classification, which is well appreciated by the banking sector in Oman. It is particularly noteworthy that the chapter has organized a series of meetings in 2020 between Omani dignitary and ICAI leaders for collaborative knowledge sharing. Its quote, Invest in Oman, and quote seminars showcasing Oman as an investment destination are very crucial for Oman in order to attract foreign direct investment and diversify its economic base under the Vision 2040. It is my hope that this initiative will gain momentum with the passage of time as we move forward. On behalf of CBFS, I would like to sincerely congratulate the Muscat chapter of ICAI for its achievements, which are a source of great pride to all of us. I would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the hard work, commitment, and dedication of past and present managing committee members of ICAI Muscat chapter. I trust that the strong relations between CBFS and ICAI Muscat chapter will be further enhanced to keep meeting the needs of all our stakeholders in society at large. With that, I would like to thank you for your patience and wish you success for the rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Khalfan, for your great wishes and the great support from CBFS, without which ICAI Muscat chapter would not have been able to do so much. It is our great privilege to have you here, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, I request CA Jim Joseph to introduce our guest of honor, His Excellency Munu Mahawar.
Thank you, Sangeeta ji. It's my great privilege to welcome Excellency Munu Mahawar, Ambassador of India to the Sultanate of Oman. He joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1996 and served in diplomatic missions in Moscow and Geneva. At headquarters, he served as desk officer in Nepal and director in Prime Minister's office. He also headed Establishment Division and UN Political Division in Ministry of External Affairs. Prior to present assignment, he was heading America's division. Excellency is an electrical engineer, graduated from IIT Delhi also. With these few words, let me invite Excellency Munu Mahawar to address the gathering. Excellency, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Namaskar.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your Excellency Dr. Khalfan Barwani, Chairman CBFS and Vice President CBO. CA Nihar Jambusaria, President of ICAI. Acting Dean for Academic Affairs of CBFS, Mr. Anis Lawati. Guest speakers, friends. I would like to thank ICAI Muscat chapter for inviting me to this event, which is the first event under the new management committee. Let me take this opportunity to once again congratulate the new management committee. We look forward to working closely with you, and I'm sure under the new team, ICAI Muscat chapter will continue to organize activities, undertake work in the same spirit, with the same vigor. As Dr. Khalfan said, the ICAI Muscat chapter has been doing a tremendous job in terms of, first of all, providing a platform for interaction among the accounting professionals, and then a number of events that it has organized for professional development and capacity building within Oman. I must also say that their partnership with CBFS has been exemplary, and we really appreciate the strong support that CBFS has been providing. And I'm really happy to know that CBFS and ICAI Muscat chapter have decided to renew this partnership for another 5 years. I really wish you all great success. Let me also say that as far as India-Oman relations are concerned, all of you know very well how deep-rooted our friendship is. But it is really satisfying to know that during this challenging period of COVID, our relations, our partnership has worked really well. We have cooperated very closely. we deeply appreciate the support that we have been receiving from Government of Oman. We thank the Government of Oman and His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq for taking good care of the Indian community here. On its part, India has also extended full support to Oman's efforts to fight COVID pandemic in various ways, on healthcare front, on economic front, and really the economic cooperation has continued despite COVID challenges. In the days ahead, promotion of this economic partnership is the top priority for us. I have always been saying that we see India as an ideal partner, natural partner in all priority areas of Oman in the Vision 2040, and we see Oman as an important partner in our vision to become self-reliant. Capacity building is a very important component of Vision 2040, and I'm sure the various events that ICAI will be organizing and various initiatives that it has planned will contribute significantly towards achievement of this objective. I have no doubt that this partnership will continue to play an important role in the promotion of bonds of friendship between India and Oman and the promotion of economic linkages between our two countries. So I once again extend my best wishes to all of you. Please stay safe as you seek to enhance your activities, and I wish you all a very productive event today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
It's a great pleasure to have you address our audience, sir. Thank you so much for giving us your time today for our first event. May I call upon CA Shilpa Barwani to introduce our next guest of honor, CA Nihar Jambusaria.
Thank you so much, CA Sangeeta. It is indeed my honor to welcome the President of the Institute of the Chartered Accountants of India, CA Nihar Jambusaria, to today's event. CA Nihar Jambusaria is a man of professional insight, vision, and excellent organizational abilities who believes in the all-round growth of the Indian chartered accountancy profession. CA Jambusaria has been elected as the new president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for the year 2021-22. As the president of ICAI, he is now the chairman of all the standing committees, that is the executive, finance, and examination committees, besides being the ex officio member of all the non-standing committees and the editor of the ICAI journal. CA Jambusaria is the president of the ICAI Registered Valuers Organization and also a representative from the ICAI RVO on the committee to advise on valuation matters. He is also the chairman of the ICAI Research Wing. CA Jambusaria is a member of the Professional Accountants in Business, and he, in his capacity as the president of ICAI, is representing on International Integrated Reporting Council and the board of South Asian Federation of Accountants. CA Jambusaria has been a prolific speaker at national and international forums. As an academician and orator par excellence, he has attended and contributed to various international and national seminars. I welcome you, sir, today and request you to address the audience. To you, sir.
Thank you, Shilpaji. Today's chief guest, Dr. Khalfan Mohammed Barwani, His Excellency, Ambassador, Indian Ambassador to Oman, Munu Mahawar, Guest of Honor Anis Moosa Lawati ji, the Chairman of Muscat Chapter, C.A. Ravi Devra, Vice Chairman C.A. Sanjeev, Secretary CS Jim and Treasurer CS Silpa, and all the participants who are attending. It's a great pleasure to be amidst you, particularly at a time when you are taking up the subject of impactful leadership. Perhaps today I will not speak too much about the activities of the Institute, except for informing you about 2 or 3 initiatives. But time has come when we were already leader, but we were leader to a limited extent. We were leader to guide our clients, guide our students and our team members. After the pandemic, time has come when we need to be leader for the revival of economy, to guide the society. And if you see from so many deliberations at public forum, the expectations from professional accountants have gone up like anything. We need to be ethical. While being ethical, guide all businesses to revive and grow in this uncertain time. We thought last year, when the pandemic was on the receding side, that now pandemic has gone, but suddenly it revived, and today we do not know what way it will take. And in these uncertain times, particularly, the governments and society would expect a lot from professional accountants. Let us rise to the occasion, and I'm sure that today's webinar will help accountants to rise up to the expectation of society and the governments. At the Institute, when chief guest and our ambassador is here, let me inform them that particularly in India, we have done everything. We have got 164 branches within India, and they have done everything to help the government, needy people when oxygen was in shortage, to organize for concentrators, organize oxygen cylinders, organize beds for the needy. Everything chartered accountants have done. Even from abroad, help from our overseas chapters was really very overwhelming, and I must thank them for that. I may only say, when Indian ambassador to Oman is here, that our chapter in Muscat will do everything to see that relations between Oman and India strengthen, and they render services there, and they also see what they can do for India too. Last year, you are aware that Ministry of External Affairs particularly declared that our chapters overseas will be treated at par with other apex organizations like CII, ASOCHAM, for the purpose of attestation of passports and for many other purposes. I'm sure that these chapters will come to your rescue, and wherever you want help from the chapter, they are always there. Apart from this, our institute this year has taken 2 or 3 major projects about which I will speak briefly. One is setting up CRET, that is Committee for Review of Education and Training. This year, we are reviewing the entire education system and training modules for the future students. Actually, we do this exercise every 10 years, but this time we are doing it after 5 years. We saw that the changes that are taking place on the professional front in the economy are so many that if we don't change our syllabus, we don't change our training modules, then our students will not become relevant, or they will not be relevant when they qualify for the businesses, and they will not come up to the expectations of businesses. We are introducing subjects of technology, management, and many other subjects which the economy would now expect chartered accountants to deliver. So far, chartered accountants were known as audit experts and tax experts, but now their role has expanded so much that they need to learn this new technology and the new skills and deliver what the society is expecting. Apart from this year we have set up a separate committee to look after financial literacy within the country. For any economy and for any country, financial literacy all across, not only among accountants, would help the country to grow at a faster pace. And this year we are doing that. Apart from this, our usual activities of holding webinars and educating our members, all those who have already qualified, need to acquire skills in technology. So our Digital Accounting and Assurance Board has taken up a number of programs on artificial intelligence, data analytics, blockchain, cyber security, and many of them are intensive programs which will upgrade the skills of members. We are also developing audit tools for smaller firms which are not using them currently. And once they are hands-on with audit tools, they will be able to deliver perhaps better quality of audits. So these are some of the initiatives I thought I will brief the guests who are present here and our members who are attending. And in the end, I would conclude by saying that at a very right time, you have picked up the subject of leadership, and let us become true leader as the governments and society would expect accountants to become and rise to the occasion. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I guess we have a great leader with us. Your vision and all your plans, I just pray that these become reality as soon as possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sangeeta.
You're on mute, Sangeeta ji.
Sorry. It is indeed a wonderful opportunity to hear from you, sir. Being with us as president of ICAI, it's a great privilege for us. Thank you so much for your time to address us on this event. Now, I request CA Unmesh Bhume to kindly introduce our guest of honor, Mr. Anis Moosa Al-Lawati.
Thank you, CA Sangeeta. Good morning, all. It's our pleasure to introduce Mr. Anis Moosa Al-Lawati, Acting Dean for Academic Affairs of CBFS. Mr. Anis is Acting Dean of Academic Affairs of CBFS. He has over 35 years of experience in teaching and training in Oman, UAE, and Jordan. Mr. Anis previously held many key positions, including Deputy Dean of Oman College of Management and Technology, Director of Training and Learning at Dubai Institute of HRM, Acting Director General at IBFS, Director of Training at Institute of Public Administration. He has worked in senior positions in Oman College of Management and Technology, Institute of Public Administration. Mr. Anis did his BA from Rollins College, Florida, and MBA from Yarmouk University in Jordan. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We would also like to thank CBFS for the continued support to the Muscat chapter of ICAI.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Welcome, sir.
All right. Your Excellency, the Indian Ambassador, our Chairman, Dr. Khalfan, Chairman of ICAIB, President of ICAIB, thank you so much for inviting me for this prestigious event. Speakers, all audience, thank you so much. I just wanted to highlight that our association with ICAI started in 2008, and since then it has been growing, going on very well. And with all the managing committees that we have worked with, we found very positive and encouraging collaboration among our two institutions. We look forward to continue the same in the next 5 years to come with the new managing committee. Congratulations for being elected for this position. As I mentioned in our previous meeting, that the only, the different thing that I witnessed with this managing committee is that the average age is very young, and I'm sure this will bring a lot of new ideas, a lot of energy, and I hope we can keep up with the pace with you young guys. Thank you so much, and wish all the success for this event. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for
Thank
the
you,
kind
sir. Yeah, thank you, sir. Sir, yeah, Sangeeta, can we have a group photo before we?
Yeah, before we go in for the next agenda of this event, may I request all the chief guests and the guest of honor to
Dr.
kindly
Rajesh.
switch on your video so that we can have a group photo, as well
Dr.
as all
Rajesh,
the
Dr.
MC
Fatih.
members.
Yeah, Nihar Jambusaria, sir. Yeah, sir. Yes. Okay. Dr. Fatih, Dr. Rajesh. I think. His Excellency is.
Done, Sangeeta.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Now we will move on to the most awaited events for this day. We will be introducing and opening the floor for our speakers for the day. For this, I request CA Digan Pandya to introduce our first speaker for the day, Dr. Ashminder Singh Bahal. He would be speaking on the topic Leadership Icon.
Thank you, Sangeeta ji. It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Ashminder. He doesn't need an introduction, but let me do the pleasure. He is a gallantry medal recipient of Indian Air Force. He is an ex-IF Air Commodore with 38 years of extensive experience in operations, academics, and research. He is a consultant dean, Center of Excellence at ICAI. He was a director of vocational education at Ministry of HRD, executive director at Doon Business School, and director at Amity University, Noida. He has also been a diplomat at High Commission of India, Bangladesh, conducted numerous national and international seminars on leadership, management, and national security related topics. He has visited a number of countries to study the systems prevalent there for training and education. He is a PhD holder with British Standard Institution certificates and certificate from Center of Leadership and Behavioral Sciences. A number of his papers are published in national and internationally read journals and published 4 books. He also practices meditation, has undergone advanced course in Art of Living and Reiki. Sir, on behalf of ICAI Muscat chapter, I welcome you, and stage is all yours, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, you are on mute, sir.
Thank you very much, CA Diganji, for speaking such lovely words about me. Can I share my screen now, sir?
Yes, sir. You can share your screen. Thank you so much.
Is it visible?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the ICAI Muscat chapter for giving me this opportunity to interact with such brilliant people who are listening to this session, but I wanted to be interactive, would be interacting with me so that I carry humorously good memories of you. I would like to specially thank CA Ravi Prakash Devaraji for the same, and CA Sangeeta ji for the same. At the same time, I want to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Khalfan, Mohammed Ali Barwani, our beloved president, CA Nihar Niranjan, Jambusaria ji, under whose dynamic leadership we are undertaking the Management Development Program Leadership Beyond Boundaries. His Excellency Munu Mahawar ji, I'm very impressed with him, and I worked in the embassy. I know the great job that he is doing over here. Mr. Anis Moosa ji, who has been the acting dean and who said such lovely words. And he said an age where everyone is young here, so they can be molded. I'm so thankful to him, to our president, who said that there is a need to rise today and make the business institutions grow during this uncertain times. And for that, you require leadership. And I would like to also thank all the participants who are here and my fellow speaker, Asha Shridhar ji. Now, if I make any mistake because of my josh or energy, please do excuse me. And I would like you to interact with me during this session. You have already covered, you can see in the center top photograph of Bangladesh, where I was in the High Commission of India as Assistant Advisor. On the left, Defense Minister of our country, George Fernandez. On the right, Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, when I was looking after the National Cadet Corps, which had both Andhra and Telangana. And on the right below, South Asian Federation Games. I have been very privileged and very lucky because of God has given me the opportunity to go to Japan, to go to Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, Belgium. I mean, a large number of countries, Hungary, Sweden, Denmark, France, UK, US, and Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. And all this has given me one thing very clearly. And that thing is the quality of leadership, more than any other single factor, determines the success or failure of an organization. Remember Satyam? The share was above 500 rupees. In 1 week, it crashed to 16 to 17 rupees. One reason, leadership. And what happened? When Mahindra took it over, or it's today in a different net, as it's been integrated, see its value today. It's all leadership. Who is a leader? The first thing that comes to our mind is who is a leader? And I found this definition to be the best. A leader is a person others opt to follow to a place or destination they would not have gone by themselves. Now, I want you to focus here. It is not that they did not have the ability. It is because they need a leader to motivate them, to inspire them, and above all, to light the fire of motivation in them to do exceptionally well, to bring out their 100% potential by giving them a unifying vision, by giving them a common direction, by lighting the ignition of fire in them, fire of passion. I know I'm addressing the leaders here, and I know that they all are doing the same thing. But how do you judge that you are a leader? What is the platform? What is the yardstick which gives us this definition that are you a leader? If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are a leader. And you would be very surprised, what it essentially means is if you help people to grow, both professionally and personally, and make a difference in this society, then you are a leader. And I got this not from reading books or something. I got this from a kid of 15 to 16 years when I went for a function as chief guest to Delhi Public School in Hyderabad. And that kid who was being made prefect in 11th class because 12th was going away, when he was addressing the children, he said one sentence which is still etched in my heart. He said, I am a leader here, not to generate followers. I'm a leader here to develop leaders. And that is exactly my mission after that. And I learned that at 50 years of age. I'm so sorry that I started learning real leadership when I actually had a lot of experience. So what is the difference between, being a civilian leader or military leader? No difference. When we talk of impactful leadership, when we talk of leaders who make a difference in the world, whether it's Alexander the Great, or whether it is Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi, they all had this quality, and which is the capacity and the will to rally men and women together towards a common purpose, and the character that inspires confidence. Want you to focus at these three aspects: capacity and will. All of you who are listening to me, all have the capacity. Let me assure you, each one of you has the capacity, but sometimes when we are busy with our work, sometimes when we are busy with the routine, we forget the will to rally men and women together. A lot of times when we become busy with our work, we forget to provide a unifying common direction, a goal, a purpose to each of our team members. And above all, I want you to focus at the last word, character. I want to ask each one of you, would you give your family jewels to a thief for safekeeping? I know your answer. You'll say never. If you cannot trust a thief with your family jewels, how can you trust him with your company? And that is why it's extremely important that one has high ethics, as our president, beloved president, had said. Now, I want to cover two military icons because you have all heard about Nelson Mandela, you all heard about Alexander the Great and Peter the Great. But I want to tell you about military leaders whom you know but may not have known how they became icons as great leaders. Can you tell me who is on the left? I would like you to put on the chat, please. Let's make it a little bit interesting.
Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw.
Absolutely great. He's Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, known as Sam the Bahadur by his soldiers who really and deeply loved him. And on the right side, Marshal of the Air Force, Arjun Singh. A legendary fighter pilot and a tremendous leader who could inspire and ignite people to give their lives. Look at his face itself. 98 years of age, he used to stand erect when he used to address and take over the parades. 98 years of age. Look at him. Pride, self-esteem is evident. Now let's look over the first leader, Sam Manekshaw. You know, as a young person who had done his graduation from Hindu College in Amritsar, he wanted to become a doctor. And because he wanted to become a doctor, he wanted to go to UK, but his father did not have money. And so he could not afford him to go. He decided to rebel and he joined the Indian Military Academy in 1935. By the time he graduated and commissioned as an officer, if you remember, World War II took place in 1939, and the Japanese were sitting at the doors of India in Burma with 3 divisions, means 70,000 troops, they were there. And when they were there with 3 divisions, there was only 1 division, British Indian division, which had only 15 to 20,000 troops. Japanese were overnumbering. At this period of time, Sam, a young captain who was in charge of a company, was posted or transferred over there. And he was given a task. This is a pagoda hill. This is extremely important to stop the Japanese from moving ahead. You know, he devised a meticulous plan. And then when they charged on top of the hill, 50% of the soldiers were still martyred because it was so stoutly defended. And the Sam himself, the courageous Sam, took a full blast of light machine gun on his chest. He had 7 bullets in his stomach, in his liver, and his kidneys. Even then, he continued to inspire his men forward till they won that objective. So impressed was the British divisional commander that he immediately awarded him Military Cross. And then his own artillery, Sher Singh, lifted him up and ran to the hospital, which was a few kilometers away. This is the love the soldiers had for him. And when he brought him there, you know, the doctor looked at him. He was in critical condition between life and death. And doctor had virtually given up. And when doctor asked him what happened, like all doctors ask, what happened? He said he had his, sense of humor to say, kicked by a mule. With his positivity, with his will to live, they were so impressed. And the surgeon said, I must save him at all costs. He removed his 7 bullets. And within a few weeks, he was back fighting the Japanese in the front. This is the kind of leader he was. And this is the way he motivated. He not only had physical courage, he not only had meticulous planning ability, but he also was a great humane leader. Why do I say that? when Japanese lost and disarmament of 60,000 Japanese soldiers was supposed to be carried out, because of his meticulous planning as a young officer, he was given that task. Not one untoward incident took place. Not one Japanese soldier was massacred. You know, normally the victor armies always create havoc with the ones who are defeated, but it did not take place. This is the great humane quality he had. And by the time India got independence, he was involved in the planning of J&K operations, liberation of Hyderabad. And then he continued to rise because of his leadership qualities and became the chief of army staff in 1971, where there was a large influx of Bengalis taking place from then East Pakistan. This is the time Mrs. Gandhi called him, because the Pakistan army was committing genocide and millions had come to India to save themselves. Mrs. Gandhi called for a cabinet meeting. Defense minister was there. All the cabinet ministers were there. And she looked at Sam after giving a briefing of the current situation and said, Sam, can we go in now? This is the month of April. Look at his moral courage. Most generals, most people today, subordinates, would have immediately said to the Prime Minister, yes, ma'am, we are ready. He said, ma'am, this is not the right time. Our armor, that is tanks, and mechanized infantry, that is Bakhtar-Band Gadis, are deployed elsewhere. It is passes are open, Chinese can intervene. Our trains are busy carrying grains from Haryana, UP, Punjab to different parts of the country. And monsoon is just around the corner. Our tanks will get bogged down in East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. No, she got very angry, but she was a great leader herself. And then when the meeting got over, he offered his resignation. He says, I know there'll be many compliant generals who will say yes to you to go straight away. She refused. She said, no, Sam, I have full faith in you. Go ahead. We will go when we are prepared. We went to war in 3rd December 1971 when Pakistanis intruded. But within 14 days, we liberated a new country. It's never happened in the history after World War II. 93,000 troops surrendered. Even though they could fight, they surrendered because that is the kind of leadership qualities he had. And that is the kind of fear psychosis that was created in the minds of the enemy. This was his ability. And, you know, look at his capabilities, you know, beyond the moral courage also. When Mrs. Gandhi asked him to go and sign the instrument of surrender, you know what he said? Because this is a great moment. A country is surrendering to you. And you go and sign the instrument of surrender. He said, no, ma'am. The person who fought the war in Eastern sector is Lieutenant General J.S. Arora, the one on the left side. This picture I took when I was in Bangladesh High Commission, working in the Bangladesh High Commission. Now look at this. This is Lieutenant General J.S. Arora, and this is center is General Niazi, who surrendered with 93,000 troops, and not one troop out of the 93,000 was misbehaved. This is the other humane quality. How many of us as leaders connect with our men who are working along with us to give them full credit for their work? How many of us would do that? Very rarely you find people who give the entire credit away. But if you give the entire credit away, you can build transformative organizations. You can actually create history wherever you are. Marshal of the Air Force, Arjun Singh. In 1939, he went to Royal Air Force College, Cranwell. This was the first Indian course along with British pilots, and he topped the course, even competing against the British. He was a national swimmer, a lot of awards he got, and he held records for a very long time on long distance swimming. By the time he came back as commissioned as a fighter pilot, he was posted to Kohat. Now, Kohat is in Western Frontier Province, which is in Pakistan, adjacent to Afghanistan. It is the most troublesome region of Pakistan, if you look at it. And when he was posted over there, there was a fakir of EP who had created havoc because he was troubling the Britishers. Remember, the Pathan tribesmen are terrific fighters. And the British were getting pounded. This is the time they requested for air support. He himself flew. Arjun Singh with Ghulam Ali, his gunner. He went and carried out a number of attacks on the Pathan tribesmen. In the last attack, he got shot. And he landed on a dry riverbed, which was between the British troops as well as the Pathans. Both of them quickly got off the aircraft because it would have exploded. And when they got out, Ghulam Ali was disoriented. Instead of running towards the Britishers, he started running towards the Pathanis. And he ran after him in a volley of fire, turned him around towards the British. For a few hundred yards he ran in that volley of fire, picked him up, turned him around and brought him back. And why wouldn't that guy give his life for it? If you help somebody in your organization when he's in troubled times, remember, he will never, ever forget you. He will never leave you. And that is what is required during this uncertain, unpredictable times. Be bonded with your people within your organization. You know, before I come to that, after some time, he asked Field Marshal Claude, "You're wasting me here. There's a war going on in Northeast, in Fal and Arakan Valley." And he opted to go to the war zone where there were large casualties taking place. His squadron was moved over there. How many of us would go into danger area? How many of us during this pandemic times are helping each other? ICAI is doing it. ICAI's each chapter is doing it. ICAI's each branch is doing it. And that shows great leadership qualities of the chartered accountants who are in the ICAI, who are leading from the front. So he also volunteered and he went there. And when he went there with his squadron, they were flying Hurricanes against the best fighter of that time, Zero fighter of Japan and Mitsubishi bomber of Japan. And they carried out 300 to 500 sorties every month, attacking the Japanese formation, which outnumbered the British Indians. But subsequently, one day when he was returning back from a mission, he found a large number of Japanese troops and their vehicles moving towards Imphal. If Imphal had fallen, Japanese would have been sitting at the mainland of India. So what did he do? He immediately radioed back to Div headquarters to remain alert. He landed back, got his entire troops together, motivated them, inspired them. They all got airborne and attacked the Japanese. Till that time, their attack became petered out and the Japanese fell back and Japanese divisional commander was removed from there, from that theater. So impressed was the Southeast Asian commander, who was Lord Mountbatten of all the forces here, allied forces here. He came to Imphal himself and he pinned the Distinguished Flying Cross, which is the highest award for an Air Force officer for bravery. You'll be surprised, 12 out of 25 pilots of his, squadron were martyred. There were lots and lots of DFCs given. 9 DFCs were given to his out of the 25 pilots. That is the kind of inspiration that he gave to his men, to his people who served under him. Very soon the country got liberated, got independent, not liberated, I'm sorry, independent. And when the country got independent, he rose through the ranks and became the Chief of Air Staff at 45 years of age. And in December 1965, when the Pakistanis, now can you see this map here? This is Pakistan, this is Kashmir, this is Jammu here. The Pakistanis invaded on 31st August and 1st September, they invaded Chamjuriya sector with 2 regiments of tanks, that is 90 to 100 tanks and about 15,000 troops in this area. Now, if you look at Jammu, from Jammu, there is a national highway which is going like this. Can you see my cursor, everybody? Can you see my cursor? Okay. From Jammu, it is going to Akhnur, and from Akhnur, it goes to Srinagar. And look at the closeness to which the Pakistani forces had come, and they were just a few kilometers away from Akhnur. Had they taken over Akhnur, India would have got cut off at this narrow belt between Pakistan and China. It was a critical situation. The defense minister, Y.B. Chauhan, called the Marshal of the Air Force and said, urgent support. Immediately, 4 vampires were launched within 1 hour from the call being given. And in that 1 hour, you can see these vampires and mysteers which are attacking the tanks. And what happened in the first 4 aircraft itself, 3 vampires got shot down because of the superior F-86 American fighter F-104, which the Pakistanis had. But they continued with attack. 28 sorties were carried out, 13 tanks were destroyed, 2 guns were destroyed, 62 vehicles were destroyed, and Pakistani attack came to a stop here. It gave time for the Indian Army to open a new front, Lahore. Now, realizing that he had put aircraft that may not be very suitable for sabers, look at the flexibility of this leader. He quickly changed over, and now he put Nats in that area. And Nats soon became saber slayers with famous names as Keeler, with famous names as Naib, Patania, who shot down many sabers. You can see from the cockpit of the NAT, the sabers are being shot. And this created so much of fear in the minds of the Pakistanis that Indian armed forces thereafter were able to progress very rapidly. You know, what are the qualities these two icons had, from which we can learn a lot? Besides the physical courage, you know, when there is pandemic, everybody is afraid. ICAI is moving ahead and helping people. Physical courage, moral courage, that tell the right thing at the right time. I wish somebody had done that in Satyam. You know, give the right advice. It requires a great amount of moral courage to give advice to your boss. But give the right advice in the right manner. That is more important, that he does not get hurt, and at the same time, he is able to bring about that change that you wanted. All these leaders were visionaries. They could predict what is likely to happen. And because of that, they could develop a vision and a strategy, which was both at the strategic, operational, and tactical level, whether it is the company level, whether it's the operational level, or whether it is the department level. They could come out with those tactics and implement this plan strategically into the operational theaters. So the next important quality which a leader must have is, first, being a visionary. Second, being able to devise a strategy or a plan of action which can meet the circumstances of that time. Uncertain, unpredictable circumstances with VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, you really need a lot of flexibility and implementation ability to make things happen on ground. And above all, they were humane and fair. They didn't even take out on the enemy, leave aside on their own men. Why did they succeed? And what can we learn from them? And how do we bring about impactful leadership? First thing first is they had the ability to connect with their subordinates, with their employees, with their staff, which means they had tremendous interpersonal capabilities. Their subordinates loved them. And second difference is emotional intelligence. I know this topic will be covered subsequently by Asha Shridhar, so I will give a short platform to it from where she can launch. You know, emotional intelligence is the ability to monitor and manage not only your emotions, but that of your group, of your team, so that great productive outcomes can be achieved. You know, all human beings are the same, whether you are in Middle East, whether you are in India. I have visited 15 countries. I worked in large number of countries. Everywhere I found basically human beings are the same. Their need of the human heart is to be understood. Ask yourself, I'm asking you, don't you want that others should understand you? And if you want others to understand you, would you not like to be understood? Would you not like to understand those who are below you, those who are along with you, and those who are above you? You know, actually, knowledge is the weapon today. Information is the main arm with which you can achieve transformational outcomes. But at the same time, people don't care how much you know. I'm telling you, with 40 years of work experience leading from the front, I have realized people don't care how much you know. They will respect you, appreciate you, but that's all. They'll come to guidance for you. Until they know that you care. I will say it again. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Now, if you are very knowledgeable, very good. That is actually the great strength that you have, ability you have. Now, link up with your men. Show care. Higher EQ leaders are more likely to make better decisions, engage and influence more effectively, and create the right mood for the job. Now, I would give you 2 test situations, and then it will be taken on by Asha Shridhar ji to tell us what is all this about and how we could have done it better. And I want responses on chat box. I'll give you 2 situations. There'll be 4 options, and I want some replies on that before we move forward towards impactful leadership, more and more impactful leadership. So how savvy you are in emotional intelligence. The first situation is you are in a meeting when a partner takes credit for the work that you have done. What would you do? Option A, immediately and publicly confront the colleague over the ownership of your work. B, which some of us would do, you know. B, after the meeting, take the colleague aside and tell her that you would appreciate in the future that she credits you when speaking of your work. C, nothing. It's not a good idea to embarrass colleagues in public. D, after the colleague speaks, publicly thank her for referencing your work and give the group more specific detail about what you were trying to accomplish. I want the answers on chat box, not what you think is the best, but what you would have done. That is more important to judge yourself. So let's see the chat box. Let me see some responses. Which are the options? You just write A, B, C, D like that. I've got D, B, A, D, 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 D. Yes, some more. B, B, D. Okay, great, great. So, okay. So a lot of you have given B and D as the option. You know, actually, this happened with me in Amity University. The associate dean used to take away all the credit of the work that we were doing. So one day I counseled her that we all team, we don't want to take credit here. We want the team to do well, but twice counseling didn't work. So in the end, when we were all discussing something where she again took every credit, everything, all the credit, then I thanked her and gave the entire details, how it took place. After that, she never ever did this again. But you should not do this as the first option. First option should be B only. After B, then do D. Because we are all a team. If the person still doesn't listen, then only do D. Okay, we go to the next situation. And I want some responses. A discussion between you and your partner in your firm has escalated into a shouting match. You are both upset and in the heat of the argument start making personal attacks, which neither of you really mean. You are actually good friends till then. What is the best thing to do? Option A, agree to take a 20-minute break before continuing the discussion. Option B, go silent regardless of what your partner says because people are watching. Option C, say you are sorry and ask your partner to apologize to. Option D, stop for a moment, collect your thoughts, then restate your side of the case as precisely as possible. So let's see some options on the chat box. Quickly, option A, B, C, D. Okay, so I got D, A, D, A, C. Okay, D, D. Okay, any more before I go on? Okay. All right, let's go on. Good morning. Okay, let's go on. All right, so a lot of people have said D and a lot of people have said A. You know, practically speaking, it is my feeling, you know, there's nothing right, nothing wrong, because everything can work if you're mature and if you keep your emotional intelligence in check. I would feel that first thing you would need to do is go silent, you know, because somebody has to keep quiet. So go silent. Then apologize for your going into personal attack, but don't apologize for your partner who's also doing the same. Then take a break. Everything cool, let everything cool down. By just doing these three things, 90% of your problem would have got solved. But you say, we'll have a meeting again when both of the sides have cooled down. And you will now find that when you take option D and you collect your thoughts and you restate your case without going personal, you will find a lot of adjustment and accommodation your partner will be willing to do. So it's nothing is right, nothing is wrong, but I'm just giving you some inputs on experiences that I have faced in my life. Can we look at this photograph? Dog is sitting on a cat. And incidentally, that cat had troubled him a lot. So sometimes when you are really angry with someone, it helps to sit down and think about the problem and look at it logically. What you feed in your mind is going to make you. If you're going to feed drama, bad news, negativity, it'll play continuously throughout the day. That's the beauty. And if you feed positivity, discipline, dreams, inspiration, motivation, your people will only see that. And that environment will be very beautiful. You know, I want to share a story with you. Who is Winston Churchill? Anyone?
Prime Minister of UK during the Second World War, who ensured the Allied forces win the war, World War II.
Great, sir. Unmesh ji, very good, damn good, sir. Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister at the time World War II took place from Britain. And after the war got over, he was called for a convocation ceremony. As is usually the case, you know, he will go there. He used to like his wine. So when he went there, he used to sit down and be droopy. Then the students asked him, what was the one reason that the Allies succeeded in World War II? He lumbered like he used to do, slightly plumpish, onto the podium. And once he reached there, he said only 5 words. Can anybody tell me what were those 5 words? Because when he said those 5 words and he came back and sat down, after that, there was a stunned silence. And then there was thunderous clapping for 5 minutes. So now tell me, what are those 5 words? Anyone? Okay. He said, never, never, never give up. Never, never, never give up. He just said those 5 words and went back. And that is positive attitude. And you know, can you see that I've continued to smile right throughout? I've been smiling right at from beginning itself. And you have started smiling. See, Unmesh, you're also smiling back at me. Why is this happening? Dude, absolutely transference. Like Ravi Devara ji is smiling, he always smiles.
Yeah.
And Sangeeta ji is smiling, she always smiles. I mean, there are people who always smile, but if you maintain positive attitude, you will find 90% of the problems will go away. This is one quality which great people, they never give up. You think I never had problems in my life? You think I didn't want to give up? You think I never faced obstacles? But one thing I never did, I never gave up. You know, I kept smiling, whatever happened. I was sitting in ICU, you know, with my kidney functioning at 15%. And the doctor said, look, the only way I can save you is to give you steroids 180 mg. 180 mg. In this pandemic, 8 mg steroids were giving you black fungus. So 180 mg, which is 20 plus times the amount that a normal human being gets. So it cannot be given you orally. It has to be put on your veins, into your blood directly to kick your body to make it alive. And you know what I was doing at 3 a.m. in the morning after that thing was being pumped into my veins? I was preparing for NAC inspection for Sharda University, writing mails to Vice Chancellor, to the owner, to my faculties, giving them the timelines, the deadlines, the work they needed to be do, how to streamline, how to make it effective. And I'm telling you, the more you make yourself positive, even God, you know, कर खुदी को बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से पूछे बोल तेरी रजा क्या. He also comes down and says, क्या चाहिए आपको? Dr. Bahal, what do you want? And that is why a lot of times when I discuss with my own CA Dayanivas Sharma, who's the Central Council member, and I discuss issues and problems, in the end he says, Bahal sab chahiye kya? Bolo to sahi. And I love him. I love him for it. Okay, and Ravi Devara ji knows my attitude. He's seen that for the last 7 weeks, and he's really good in interaction with all, and he leads from the front, and the way he conducts himself is so phenomenally good. I really get impressed when I see him conduct himself with 100 participants from 12 countries. So why do people leave the organization? They leave because they don't like the culture of that organization. And who leaves? It is the good people who leave. In impactful leadership, we said positive attitude, we said linking with people, interpersonal relationship, communication, all that we have covered. At the end, you find that you're trying to build, you know, a very good motivational level, all that, but people still leave. And it's the good people who leave. And the bad people still remain with you. And then you say, yeah, kya ho raha hai? I have nobody whom I can give any job. But I think there is a need for introspection here, you know, because whose is the responsibility to create that culture? And what is culture? Culture is behavior, norms, values that are set for that organization. Like our great leader, President Sir, said, ethical values, you know, whilst we bring the businesses up, do it ethically. So when we are talking like that, so who determines the culture? It is the leader. It is the senior management. It is primarily due to the culture of the organization that people leave. And it is essentially the responsibility of leader because he is supposed to resolve all the conflicts in that organization. It is leadership which brings in that values, beliefs, and norms and creates the culture. And it is culture that drives performance. And in the end, it is this driving of performance that enhances productivity. And I want to tell you here, there are 5 key skill sets that every finance professional must have today. Sangeeta ji, first is not number crunching. It is descriptive. And what is descriptive? See, number crunching is good. I can tell you 10%, 8%, this, that, GST, which bracket, all that I can tell you. But at the end of it, can I tell you that what are the numbers speaking in simple language so that the people who are going to take decisions and come out with the business and financial strategies are able to understand the impact of your numbers. And that is very important for each chartered accountant and finance professional. And second quality is analytical. If you're not able to analyze that what these numbers are going to do to the bottom line and what the numbers are painting a situation and giving you pointers, what is likely to happen in future, then the entire analysis of financial statements is nothing but just paper. So when you analyze something, must come out with pointers. What is likely to happen in future. And then third quality is predictive. How these pointers are going to affect the situation and how they will make an impact on the bottom line, how they are going to bring about a transformative growth in the organization if they continue like that or if they modify at this period of time. That is predictive. Fourth is prescriptive. Knowing that these pointers can actually spoil your bottom lines, then what do we need to do? Like a doctor, what medicine I need to do? That also you have to suggest. Expenses are very high in this head. So this is not producing that much of value. Look at this. This is how value enrichment is done. That is prescriptive. And last is preemptive. Make those pointers, make the medicines, and make certain course corrections embedded in your business and financial strategy so that in future you bring about transformative outcomes for impactful leadership. This is the tips I'm giving. It's not there in the presentation and I didn't want to cover it, but came to me after hearing and from our president, sir, that what is the direction he wants all of us to go. That's why I came up and explained that. Now, there are three things that you can make really to bring about a healthy culture. First is psychological safety, the feeling of well-being with your employees, the feeling of physical safety, the feeling of mentally secure, mentally protected, that nobody's playing with your psychology, nobody's troubling you, the feeling that you are accessible to the boss, the feeling that you can express yourself in any situation and point out where we can make course corrections is psychological safety. If you're doing that in your organization, which I'm sure such great leaders like you must be doing, then it is fine. Work culture, where a person wants to go to work next day, where he feels empowered, where he feels that if my boss can mentor me, that middle level management, a lot of times we feel that why middle level management is not doing their job, why are they not taking initiative, why the other committee members are not taking initiative. This is where what we need to do is to create such a culture where people feel empowered and we groom them and we mentor them. It is a responsibility of senior management to mentor their middle level so that they can take their position. And remember, it is extremely important. You cannot do everything on your own. You need to empower them. Last is shared vision, which I've already spoken so much about before, so I'll not touch upon it. Just think about this. People often invest more time planning their vacation than planning their work, where they would like to go, who all they would like to be with, where they would like to stay, what all places they would like to go to visit, and what means they will use, whether bus, air, or a boat or whatever. And at the end of it, they go there, they sit in their hotel rooms and watch TV. So now what is it? They have done more work planning for vacation and yet not achieving all the goals that they had set for than they do for their planning for work. I've interacted with a lot of great leaders and I've also interacted with a lot of leaders. And I found that maybe one thing we need to improve is have a long-term plan, have a mid-term plan, have a short-term plan, have a monthly plan, have a weekly planner, and have a daily task planner, and have everyday morning meeting, whether virtual or whether in-house, preferably in-house, but you could also have virtual. If you have a virtual meeting every day in the morning, set out the outcomes that you want to achieve, link them up with the weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly planners. You find the work gets done so beautifully. 22,000 people I trained simultaneously in 600 training centers in 38 districts of Bihar by following this policy. And I was getting daily pictures from each center, what is happening over there. Now, see, it's a monumental task, but it can be broken down so easily and great outcomes can be achieved. there are 5 key questions that you must answer yourself. For developing the vision, where are we now? Where do we want to go for bringing that impactful leadership? And that is your vision. Clearly, example, you have 30 clients. I want to make it 100 clients within 3 years. So how do I want to do? What is the roadmap I want to achieve? What is the strategy I want to bring about is where that from vision to strategy you'll be moving. But this third question, why? Why is most important? If why is not known to you by your driver, if why is not known to you by a sweeper, if why is not known to you by a doorman, by your PA, by everybody, by your middle level management, you're not going to reach there because they're not going to be vetted with your vision. They will only be vetted with your vision if you take everybody along. And when you make your strategy, please make it along with them. We do that in the military. Every departmental head is involved when we make the strategy. Make it with your people, the strategy. Then it is their ball game to achieve it because they feel vetted. They feel, ye mera plan hai. Isko mujhe achieve karna. I have to achieve it. And how will we get there is the strategy. Long term, mid term, short term, which must have roadmap and milestones. And those milestones are the yardstick to tell you how do we know we have got there. If those yardsticks have been achieved, milestones have been achieved, in that time frame, you know you're heading well towards. And in case you find you're not heading towards your long-term goal, make course correction, be flexible. I'm just going to show you 2 more slides, what a good leader does and what he doesn't. He sets a direction and focus, comes out with a unifying vision. He inspires the team towards this vision, takes their inputs, then strategizes it participatively. He initiates actions. He makes timely decisions with the help of his, key people or with the help of his entire team if the team is small. He believes he has a good team. He never says, I have a bad team. And he channelizes the efforts by resolving conflicts of everyone so that 1 + 1 becomes 11. 1 + 1 becomes 11. So if you were to shortly say, first is unifying direction and focus. Second, inspiration to get everybody on board. Third, strategizing participatively and making timely decisions along again participatively. Fourth, believing you have the best team in the world. I had one of the most horrible teams which Air Force thought. They gave me a squadron which had 3 Cat 1. Cat 1 means aircraft were destroyed, public property was lost. The juniors were throwing glasses in the seniors. That was the squadron I was giving. By the time we left, we were already 3rd in the Indian Air Force. We were winning most of the trophies. And everybody felt we are the best in the world. And that feeling a person must have, we are best in the world. Same thing I tried to bring in HRD. HRD is like a huge elephant. So, but they are working a lot. So while some are working, you have to get the other person. And they're doing a very great job. Many people would not know. But that is the only way is to make them believe you are the best. But what you should never do, compete with your own people. Don't try to show them you are better. Guide them, mentor them, but don't show them you are better. Consider that they have a lousy team. If you tell a thief, or if you tell a crook, a crook, he'll start believing I'm a crook, even if he was not. Place popularity ahead of effectiveness. Don't ever place popularity. Be fair and transparent. Do not put my voice. Wherever in this pandemic, good DMs have been posted, those places have done very well. Wherever those linked with a particular party were posted, that place has gone for 6. It's very simple. Believe in meritocracy and your organization will win. Sacrifice the means for the end. Means don't sacrifice your own people. They are believing in you when they work. And if they make a mistake, it's all our responsibility to make sure that we do not penalize him unnecessarily. We may guide him, motivate him, we may caution him, but don't sacrifice him. Create a future that enables self-preservation. Only weak leaders do that. Sacrifice the team to prove a point. And especially when you know a person is going to make a mistake, you say, let him make it, let me watch. When he makes the mistake, say, Bola tha na? I told you so. I told you so. So don't do that. Not required. You guide him at that time and he'll always be there for you thereafter. Don't ever play politics with your team. Last thing that I want to cover with you is why do these migratory birds travel in V formation? Can anybody tell me? Why do migratory birds travel in a V formation? Okay. Can you see in the front, the leader? He's giving the unifying direction where the bird should be going. These geese, they travel 25,000 kilometers. I have seen the Siberian geese in Ahmedabad Lake And I was so thrilled. I clicked so many photographs when I saw them there, and they had traveled tens of thousands of kilometers in 530 hours to reach. And you look at this person who's giving the unifying direction. He's flapping the wings maximum. Can you see? In the photograph itself, it shows he's flapping the wings maximum. And the others, because of the lift that he's producing by flapping the wings, others don't have to put that much effort. Can you see that? And when others don't put that much of effort, but what are the others doing? They are honking. You must have heard that sound, kang, 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 which goes on when they move, the flock moves. They are honking, they are encouraging, motivating, and inspiring him to flap faster, harder, and move ahead quickly. And when he gets tired, he moves back. And a new bird takes over. Now she or he flaps wings. When she or he gets tired, third one takes over, fourth one takes over. And like this, they travel 65% more distance than they would have traveled had they traveled alone. And that is how they traveled 25,000 kilometers to reach from one place, Siberia, to the other side of the world. And another very important thing, if any of these bird falls ill and comes down or sick, one more bird goes down with her. And till the time she becomes all right or he becomes all right, they again come back. If birds can do participative leadership, why can't human beings do it? Why can't we learn from them? I will quote only Bhagavad Gita too, because at the end it is peace in the world. We say Lord Krishna said in this world there are two paths. One of Sankhya Yoga for the knowledgeable one, and one of Karam Yoga for the doer of action. What the yogi attained through knowledge, the Karam Yogi attains through performance of his actions. He who knows this indeed knows the truth. And he who is a Karma Yogi, who does his karma, is the one who provides impactful leadership. We formed a community of good. We have people from Kashmir to Port Blair, from Gujarat, we have people to Northeast, in Guwahati, in Shillong, during this pandemic times. What we did was, without spending 1 rupee, we created a network of networks. And whatever beds were lying vacant, whether ICU beds, whether oxygen beds, whether ventilator beds, oxygen concentrators, ambulances, medicines, or blood requirement or plasma requirement, we were providing them information, maintaining that information network. I don't know how many lives we saved, but a lot of families are wedded to us today. And I want that at the end, before you leave this earth, impactful leadership is if you've done something for your society. If you've done nothing. And I know ICAI chapter in Muscat is doing a lot. Sir was telling us that how the funds were being utilized to help people out. And I'm so thankful to, and when I look at Ravi Deoraji, I feel so nice. And I want that this one humane thing must always remain as bedrock of your decisions when you take decisions for impactful leadership. Thank you and Jai Hind. I'm open to questions.
You had a very good quote. So you may like to see that quote and read. We are very happy professionals and are good at achieving, but we don't have the discipline of birds and elements which nature has incorporated in the behavior. This can happen only by getting the discipline of the Indian military, which is best in the world. Many successful countries has increased. So I'm not able to see. Can you see this?
Yeah. Countries have increased the value base of their citizens through mandatory military exposure. We are a democratic country, but why not adopt things which will increase the value base? Imagine 1.3 billion population is high value based, and what they can contribute to the country and world at large. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely great. So something, it is Surojit Singh to all panelists. So I'm so thankful.
Thank you, sir. Sangeeta ji.
Sorry, Subramaniam ji. Sorry, Subramaniam.
P.R. Subramaniam ji. Any Sangeeta ji, can you come in?
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. This was a terrific presentation. I would say this is an apt time which would motivate all our CA members. I really thoroughly enjoyed your sessions. And at moments, there were so much of goosebumps in me when I was hearing you. Thank you so much.
Will you give your life for me?
Yes, yes, yes. If it is for impactful leadership to make a
Thank you.
difference to the whole world or for the society. I would request the members over here if they have any questions or anything which they need to ask. Ashminder ji,
Yeah, I
you
don't
can
have
put
a
on the chat.
question. I don't have a question, but I need to thank you. So first is your smile. Smile not only has the ability to elevate your mood, but it can also change the moods of the others for the better. So I think throughout the session you did this. Thanks for that. And thanks because I keep writing the notes. I think I could not end up doing it. And you're first starting with, if your actions inspire to others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more. You are a leader. So I think that's the best, and that summarize what a leader needs to be. And also, not only you said what a good leader needs to do, and what a good leader should not do. I think that is also equally important, because many times what happens is in the course of like functions, we forget to also concentrate on what not to do, maybe in that excitement or when you're doing the work. So thanks for that. And the word model was excellent. Thanks for your impactful speech. They said it's an impactful leadership topic, but the speech was inspirational and impactful. I would like to thank the whole Chairman C, Ravi, and the entire team of Muscat, past chairman, everyone. It's an excellent session. I really enjoyed thoroughly, sir, and smile. That I cannot forget. Thanks for that. It's infectious. Thank you.
I would also like to add, Dr. Ashminder ji, it was such an insightful session. Especially like it is timed very well. We all have stepped into new roles. I always also believed that it's important to lead with the heart, and you know, emotional intelligence does. I agree that it's the core of any leadership. We really enjoyed the session. We are very lucky and very privileged that you spent your time sharing these pointers with us. Just, you know, it was a nice reminder of where we are and what we need to do and how to go ahead. Thank you so much.
One more additional point which really impressed me, because I've been attending a lot of sessions and which I think you emphasized, is the moral courage. Speak what is right. So I think that is also everyone, it's not always being diplomatic and try to appease everyone. So a leader has to make decision, and thanks for that, for emphasizing on the moral courage as well. Thank you.
Yes. Sangeeta, can we move ahead?
Yeah, we have got a lot of appreciations on the chat for you, sir.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful to each one of you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. We are very grateful you took time out of your busy schedule. We know you have lots of other sessions timed up for today, but still we are very grateful that you came up to address all of us.
Sir has to go for a 6 hours long training class, including I'm the student as well in that class.
Wow, that's great.
Now you're going to get a better session from Asha ji. So I can leave in very good hands. So may I take leave from each one of you, sir?
Yes, sir. Wait.
But before you leave, I would request CA Davis G to present you with the e-certificate as a token of appreciation from all of us.
Dear Dr. Ashminder ji, it was a wonderful topic and highly inspirational and an impactful delivery, I should say. You know, people like you are associated with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and no doubt, I have no doubt that, you know, the Institute of Chartered Accountants is turning out to be a factory of manufacturing leaders. I should say that, you know, you are a catalyst. You know, I know that your involvement with the Institute of Chartered Accountants will create more and more leaders for us. And, you know, your talk was very inspirational, and I should thank the chapter also. It's a first seminar after the new management took over, and congratulations and thanks Ravi ji for bringing Dr. Ashminder, you know, for inspirational talk. And, you know, there could not be any better thing to start with than a delivery, such an impactful delivery from Dr. Ashminder Singh. Thank you, sir. And on behalf of the Chartered Accountants of India, Muscat chapter, it is my great honor to present to you our felicitation by way of this certificate. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
And thank you, sir. Please keep your blessings on me always, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, David
Thank you,
ji.
sir. Davis, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ashminder ji. Yeah.
I'll leave,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. Now we will progress with the next agenda for the event. Our next speaker would be taking us through the topic emotional intelligence and creating a safe environment. For this, I request CA Gaurav Kapoor to welcome and introduce Mrs. Asha Shridhar.
Thanks, CA Sangeeta Suresh Kumar. Good morning, seniors, friends, and colleagues, and wishing everyone safety in this ongoing period of COVID-19, which hopefully is on the verge of its conclusion by the end of this year, inshallah. Just talking about one of the positives of COVID-19 is that we have been able to reach to our speakers across the globe with much ease as it was previously. And our next speaker is just an example of it, who is joining us all the way from Hong Kong. And it is indeed my great pleasure to welcome Mrs. Asha Shridhar. Mrs. Asha has 25 years of experience and has been involved in organizational development and talent management processes. She has trained and coached hundreds of people from over 10 nationalities on leadership skills and has been responsible for setting up learning and development functions for multinational organizations. Asha has led teams of up to 30 learning and development professionals in designing, developing, and implementing learning solutions in areas as diverse as systems, processes, language, communication, and customer services. Asha has also been involved in developing and implementing people strategies, change initiatives, and in mapping the development needs of the people and the organization. And this is what I like the most when I speak about Mrs. Asha. She is strongest during times of change, as she is able to motivate and gain the commitment of the people around her towards that change. Asha ji enjoys working with people and processes, creating a joyful and creative environment and leading by example. Her goal is to work with visionary people and to create a fun learning environment at the workplace. It is no better than the current times when the companies, teams, and even individuals are undergoing the organizational, operational, and mental challenge at various stages of their life cycle. With this, we eagerly await to hear from Mrs. Asha ji on emotional intelligence. Mrs. Asha ji, the screen is yours.
Thank you so much, Gaurav ji. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. Good morning. And I must say a huge thank you to CA Ravi Devra and CA Sangeeta, who've been so helpful and who've really been supporting me in the last few weeks and setting everything up. So thank you once again, everybody. This is the third time I'm working with ICAI. I've done 2 rounds earlier with Dr. Bahal with the India chapter, and this is my first time with all of you in the Muscat chapter, in the Oman chapter. So I'm really very pleased to be here. So thank you so much. I'm going to share my.
Keep you more engaged with the ICAI.
Wonderful, thank you. Shukran. Okay, let me just share my screen and Can you all see my screen? Okay. So here's something I would like to ask you all to do, please. I like it to be interactive, like Dr. Bahal was saying as well. So during the session, please don't hesitate to just send in your questions on the chat box. If you want, I mean, if you like something, then you can actually go into under the participant list. There is like a raise hand thing. You can actually raise your hand and show it to me, which means that you like it. And I would like to see that as well. Okay, so if you like something, if you appreciate something, please just put it on the chat box so everybody can learn. And also just put your hand up if there's anything else that you just like or you want to highlight at that point of time. If you think I'm speaking too fast, because that is a problem that I have, again, please just mention it on the chat box. I will keep looking at the chat box and I promise you I will slow down. This is a terrible problem I have. I tend to speak very fast, especially when I'm really excited. So yeah. So today, let's talk about emotional intelligence, which is something that I'm sure all of you have heard. And I'm sure that you all have been, you've probably watched videos or even gone on training programs to talk about emotional intelligence. But I just thought I would talk about that and also highlight something on psychological safety, which Dr. Bahal touched upon very briefly. So let's look at what that is. Leadership in the 21st century is obviously very, very different to leadership in the past. So just a quick briefing of mine. So I think it was 7 years back, I established my own little business in Hong Kong. And we primarily work with companies on helping them with their leadership competencies. And we do that by either consulting or by running workshops or by doing individual coaching as well. I do have a business partner in India. And so we have offices both in India and in Hong Kong. So that's very high level what I do. And I just want to, at this point of time, shut up for a couple of minutes, give you an opportunity to type in the chat box some of your definitions of leadership. How would you define leadership? Servant leadership, says Lena. Thank you, Lena. Guiding, yes. Somebody who creates other leaders, more leaders, yeah. Serving the society. A person who takes charge of the situation, yeah. The first move to do things, absolutely. So encouraging others to be a future leader, takes the team along. So as you can see, there is no one single definition of the word leadership, right? We all have our own definitions, and that's exactly what it is. All of those definitions are correct. There is no wrong definition of the word leadership, right? Because leadership is all about impact. Leadership is all about how we receive it. It's not about the intention. So here is something that we talk about as intention versus impact. And in leadership, it's all about the impact. It's not about my intention, right? And so that's where a lot of leaders fail, because they'd say that I was coming at it with the right intention. I was intending to do something. Yeah, but that was not the impact, right? So a lot of times people fail because of that gap between intention and impact. So I would like to share a definition of the word leadership by Ken Blanchard, who is a very, very well-known guru, leadership guru in the world. You all probably have heard of the book 1 Minute Manager. That was written by Ken Blanchard. Ken Blanchard also co-authored a very, very successful leadership model called situational leadership. And so that's one of the most well-used leadership models across the world. And Mr. Blanchard talks about how it is the capacity to influence others, right? And it's about the potential of the people to do good. And coming back to earlier messages that Mr. Jambusaria had said, and also Dr. Bahal talked about, it's about the larger good, the greater good, right? So we're not talking just about business success now. We're talking about the greater good. What actually is good for not just the organization, but also the world around us, the society around us. So it's about moral courage. It's about being ethical. All of those things come back from what Mr. Blanchard has defined leadership as well. Mr. Blanchard also talks about something which is called the positions of power. So what power do we come at it from? So if you think about an organization, right, we all have different powers within an organization. Some people have the power because we do a certain job. I am the head of sales. That gives me a certain power, and that's called position power. The CEO has a certain power because of the position that that job gives that person. That's position power. There is also the power that people get because of the relationship, right? So I am related to Falana Falana, who is the CEO of this company, and that gives me power. That's called relationship power. Who do I know? And that gives me relationship power. There is task power because only I know how to do this particular task. That gives me task power, right? So for example, recently I had to finish doing my accounts for my company, and I'm terrible at doing that, by the way. So I did it, and then I couldn't tally it because I don't know how to tally the Bolly thing. And so I went and spoke to one of my friends he's a chartered accountant here, and I went and I said, Mohit, help, I need your help because this is not tallying. So Mohit has a task power because only he knows how he can then bring all of it together and help me make sense of my accounts, right? However, for a leader, the most important power comes from personal power. The power that individual has because of who they are, not because of who they know, not because of what position they hold, but because of the kind of person that that person is. So that's the whole idea of talking about leadership. Now, today, this has become even more important because we live in a VUCA world. Now, if you've heard this term before, can you please tell me what VUCA stands for? Again, on the chat box, if you can just put down, what do you think VUCA stands for? Anybody? Yeah, VUCA is volatile, uncertain. That's the V and the U.
Complexity and ambiguity.
Complexity and ambiguity. Yeah, thank you. So this phrase is not new, by the way. This was coined back in the 1980s. And in fact, it was used for the first time in, I think, 1987 by the US military. So VUCA is not new. However, recently, and I would say recently as in sometime in the 2010s, the rate of change in the business world just escalated, right? And people realized that things were just moving very, very fast. And as a result, they came up with this whole term of VUCA. Now, V stands for volatile, which is a very, very high rate of change. And we've seen that things really change very rapidly these days. You know, what was true yesterday is not real anymore today. If you think of the fact that before 2007, I think, you know, when the first smartphones came out probably around 2007, think of how quickly life changed for us after that, right? And everybody now, we're doing everything on our phones. We do banking on phones. We do everything on the phones. You can't think of a life without a phone. And the funny thing is, very little of that actually is spent on making phone calls. Most of the time we spend on phones is for doing other things. That's how rapidly things change these days. Uncertainty, it's about the lack of definite information. Leaders today, people today are expected to make changes without having all the information. So, and people look at their leaders and leaders don't have all the information either. So we are all working in this complex area where we don't have all of the information, but change is happening. Things are happening, and it's not just one change, but it's multiple changes, one on top of the other. It's dynamic, and all the changes are dependent. There are multiple dependencies, and all of that leads to a lot of ambiguity. In other words, it's very you know, it's kind of scary sometimes, isn't it? That I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I'm doing. What I'm doing today, does it really matter for tomorrow? It can be quite scary. And especially for people who are leaders in a business, it could be scarier because not only do they have to fight their own, you know, uncertainties, their own demons, they have to fight it for their people as well. And so leaders in this world have to be very, very different. And leaders today are expected to be reliable. So be a role model, do what you say what you do, right? You are expected to be trustworthy. So involve your people, engage with your people, take people with you on the journey. Leadership is no longer about, let me walk in front of you and you follow me, because people don't follow anymore, right? You have to give them a reason to follow you. It's about being direct in how you communicate, transparency of communication. So it's not about, again, saying something but meaning something else. It's about using simple terms. It's about being really short and succinct in what you're saying. And last but not the least, it's about being understandable in what you're saying. It's about the clarity of thought and decision making as well. So these, amongst a lot of others, come out time and again as the most important traits for a leader in this VUCA world today. And I see there are some chats there. Emotion is more attached and its very nature is difficult to handle the volatility. Yes, absolutely. Human beings are emotional, right? We are emotional people. We're not robots. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in. So thank you so much, Mr. Subramanian, for that comment. And yeah, we will definitely talk a little bit more about that when we talk about emotional intelligence. So that's what we're talking about, is the VUCA world and leaders in this VUCA world. And going back to what Mr. Subramanian said, that just means that emotional intelligence has become more and more critical, right? People these days, in fact, I was speaking to somebody the other day and they said, you know, I want to hire people, but he said, I don't want to just hire people for the technical skills. And it's become crucial because emotional intelligence has become even more important than IQ, right? And what happens with emotional intelligence or emotional intelligent leaders is they're able to drive that engagement. They're able to build that trust, and they're able to create a safe work environment. They're able to create that psychological safety, which is absolutely crucial. An example of VUCA that I just wanted to take, and I completely forgot during the slide, but I'll talk about it now, is when Mr. Jambusaria was talking about how the institute has started to review the training modules after 5 years and not 10 years. That's a huge response to the rapid change of the world, right? So obviously the institute has recognized that you can't wait for another 5 years before you can go and start to review your training materials. So what have you done is you've really very responsively taken that decision to do it within 5 years, not get stuck with red tape, which is what agility is all about, which is what the whole response system needs to look like in the VUCA world. So I made a note of that and I wanted to kind of bring that back, and I remember to do that now. Okay, so the other thing that helps with emotional intelligence is you are able to bring about high performance, but with compassion. Okay, so coming back to what Mr. Subramaniam said in the chat, people have emotions. And there was a time when we would be told that, oh, this is the workplace. You can't show your emotions in the workplace. But hang on, I'm a human being. I bring myself to the workplace. Do you want me to be, you know, not truthful by not telling you that I'm emotional or I'm upset about something? So today we're not talking about that anymore. We talk about how it's okay to bring your emotions, but to be regulated about it, to be aware about it. So leadership is about bringing them together, bringing performance together with compassion. It's effectiveness and efficiency, both coming together. So I like this quote from Daniel Goleman, who's the father of emotional intelligence. And he says, CEOs are hired for their intellect, but they're fired for their lack of emotional intelligence. So thankfully, in whatever I'm seeing now in the world of corporate, this is changing. A lot more CEOs are being hired for their emotional intellect rather than their intellectual intellect, if that makes sense. Yeah. So let's look at something here. And I would again like you all to please share on the chat box. How would you describe someone who is emotionally intelligent? Yep, Kala, emotions are not conscious. They manifest in the unconscious mind, but we can get conscious about them. We can get aware of them. So let's just throw some words out, please. How would you describe somebody who's emotionally intelligent? Who's being compassionate? Yes, thank you, Vaidehi. What else? Empathetic, yep, balanced. Empathy to colleagues, yep. Emotion is passion, which gives direction to intelligence. Yeah, understanding their own feelings, absolutely. Somebody who understands and encourages being true to self. Yeah, great answers. Wonderful. Lovely. Who understands the team. So there are some common themes coming out here, right? People who are understanding of themselves, of their team, who are empathetic, people who care, people who are being truthful, true to themselves, authentic. Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Yeah, emotion is passion and takes challenges into opportunity. Yeah. Can you think of any one of us who doesn't have any emotions? Is it possible? Not possible, right? We all have emotions, and we all have emotions at all times, right? Now, we may not necessarily come out with it. We may not necessarily be demonstrating it all the time, but we do have those emotions underneath. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, there are two main things. One is to be aware of emotions, both our own emotions and the emotions of people around us. And the second is managing relationships. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, that people usually think that, this is something that HR comes up with. It's nice to have. It's not must have. The number of times I've heard these conversations from business leaders is not funny, right? They say, oh, yeah, it's all good. You know, when I have the time, I'll do it. What do you mean by that? You're never going to have the time, right? You're always going to be busy chasing profits. You're always going to be busy making sure that your expenses are low. You're always going to be busy making sure you're meeting your KPIs. So what do you mean by that? So I just want to share some numbers here because all of you are number people. So I would like to share some numbers with you. L'Oreal Paris, because I'm worth it, they actually did this. They trained some of their leaders, not all, as a pilot group on emotional intelligence. And they actually saw that on those teams, there was 63% lesser turnover, 63% lesser employee turnover compared to people whose leaders have not been trained on EI. Okay. Similarly, AT&T, they realized that on the teams where they had been trained on emotional intelligence, there were 91% more high performers. These are significantly big numbers, right? And last but not the least, I wanted to also share with you this one, which is Coca-Cola. Their sales teams, they had 15% overperformance on those teams where they were trained on EI. So clearly, whether it is sales, going back and appealing to their customers, whether it's just appealing to their teams, overall performance, EI has had a huge impact in terms of business, right? So it's indisputable that EI is not a nice to have skill anymore. It's a must have skill now. It's become integral to business. So what I want to do is share a video with you. And this video will talk to you a little bit more about agility and emotional intelligence. Before I go there, any other questions? Right. So Sanjay Mistry says, breaks the inhibitions amongst colleagues, especially juniors. Yes, true, very true. Emotion where you cannot contribute is of no use and there is a need to disconnect. Yes, and I would ask you to hold on to that thought and see how you can manage it rather than disconnect, because emotions are like a fever, okay? So if I'm experiencing an excess of, say, anger, it is like a fever. It is indicative that something else is going on that needs to be fixed. So you don't necessarily fix the fever. You try and fix the underlying reason for the fever. Similarly, when somebody is getting angry about something or somebody is crying about something, you don't fix just that. You try and fix the underlying reason for why that's happening, if that makes sense, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share this video with all of you.
Can you all hear me? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to play this video and let me know if you can hear the video properly, please. Can you all hear the video?
Every day, you say an average of 16,000 words. Imagine how many unspoken ones course through your mind. Some are positive and helpful, like, I've worked hard and...
Ma'am, we cannot see the video.
Oh, you can't see the video? Oh, is that true for everybody?
Yeah,
Yes, we could hear.
Yeah, it's not moving.
We could hear the
See the video.
conversation.
Okay, hang on. Let me see if I can do it in a different way. Sorry
can
about.
unshare the screen and share the video screen.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Just give me just 1 second. Because this is a really nice video. So I would really like to be able to show you guys this video. Give me just 1 second, please. That was a good idea, by the way, of sharing the screen, which is exactly what I shall do. Okay, give me just 1 second. Okay, here we go. Please let me know if you can see it now.
Yes.
Every day, you say an average of 16,000 words. Imagine how many unspoken ones course through your mind. Some are positive and helpful, like, I've worked hard and can ace this presentation. But others are less so, like, I'm a fake and I'm going to make a fool of myself. The prevailing wisdom says that these sorts of negative thoughts and feelings have no place at the office. In fact, harmful research shows the opposite. When you try to minimize or suppress them, you only end up getting hooked into and amplifying difficult experiences. As a Harvard psychologist and executive coach with nearly 2 decades experience, I found that strong leaders don't try to control their inner experiences. Instead, they use something I call emotional agility to put them to good use. As a result, these leaders reduce stress, make fewer errors, become more innovative, and outperform. Here are 3 ways to boost your emotional agility. First, label your thoughts and emotions for what they are, thoughts and emotions. For example, the thought, I'm not succeeding at work, becomes, I'm having the thought that I'm not succeeding at work. This exercise in mindfulness creates space between you and what's passing through your head. Remember, you are not everything you think and feel. 2, accept your thoughts and emotions. This doesn't mean acting on every thought you have, but rather allowing your experience to be as it is, instead of struggling against it. Take 10 deep breaths and notice what you're thinking and feeling. Instead of jumping to conclusions, exercise curiosity about your experience. Finally, act on your values. Your thoughts and emotions are transient sources of information that can change like the weather. Your values are bedrock. So respond to your thoughts and feelings in a way that reflects them and serves you and your organization in the long term. Using these techniques can help you to manage your negative thoughts and feelings effectively and to thrive in your job.
Can you all hear me again? Okay. So do you want to just go ahead and share what was your key learning point from that video? What did you like?
The idea of recognizing the thought as just a thought and not what you are. I think that was a very big learning.
Yeah, good. I like that. So, not saying that this is it, but saying that that's my thought, right? That gives you that space. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, should not be carried away by all the thoughts. Like she mentioned that we have thousands and thousands of thoughts in our mind every day, right? Here's another interesting statistic that we have a lot of thoughts in our mind. Now, when those thoughts are about, for example, things like, oh my God, maybe I'm appearing foolish right now, or maybe people don't, oh, maybe, Ravi Devra thinks that Asha is being very aggressive, or, whatever. Those kind of thoughts that we have, which are about what other people think of us, 90% of those thoughts, which is called mind talk, are actually not based on fact. So mind talk is not based on fact. Okay, 90%. However, 100% of the time, how that mind talk makes us feel is true. So think about it. I remember when I used to go for interviews when I was much younger, I remember going to this big 5-star hotel for an interview. And I was wearing a sari. I was the only applicant wearing a sari. All the other female applicants were in Western dress. And I said to myself, oh my God, they're going to think I'm such a gawar. It's like a 5-star hotel. I'm not going to get this job. I look so, this thing, that thing, ye, wo. And what happened was that in the interview, that mind talk impacted my behaviors, impacted how I faced the interview. And guess what? I didn't get the job. Right? But it was not about them. It was about me. It was about me reacting the way I was reacting based on my mind talk. So it was me thinking, oh, I'm the only one in a sari. I'm looking like a gawar. I don't think they felt it at all. So that mind talk was false. It was not based on fact. But the fact that it made me nervous, that nervousness was 100% true. So making that separation between this thought is not real, it's just my thought, and then deciding how to action is great. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, anything else? Anything else that you kind of took away from that video? Accepting your thoughts. Thank you, Kala. Yeah. Act on your values. Yes, Vaidehi, we should not get bottled up with those emotions, right? The term that we use to describe that when we're bottled up with our emotions is emotional flooding. So we are flooded with emotions, in which case we do not make the best decisions of our lives, right? It's like you're just married and you've gone on your honeymoon. That's not the best time to make any kind of rational decisions. Okay, so that was what I wanted to talk about, emotional intelligence, agility. Let's break down emotional intelligence now and look at the skills that are fundamental to emotional intelligence. 2 competencies here. The first is personal competence. And personal competence is all about, starts with self-awareness. How well do I know myself? What are my value systems? What are the things that make me happy? What are the things that make me motivated? What are the things that make me angry? So we call them triggers. Have you heard the term before, trigger? A trigger is an external event that gives rise to some kind of typically a negative emotion inside us. Okay, so a trigger could be something as simple as, there is this person that always yells at me in the office. I walked into the office, I see this person and I go, oh my God, I don't want to see him because he's a trigger. Okay, so a trigger is something that is external, but that has a negative impact on us internally. So what are those triggers that I have? Knowing what could potentially make me angry or knowing what could potentially make me upset is a good part of self-awareness. The other part of self-awareness is knowing my emotional threshold. Okay, so every emotion has a certain level of threshold. A threshold is the moment at which we lose control of that emotion. Okay, so there are 2 levels there. So there is a threshold level, which is where we lose control. And the other level is what is called as the awareness level. At what point do I get aware that that emotion is starting to come up for me? Okay, so the level of awareness and the threshold level. Now, for a lot of us, with some of the emotions, there is not much of a gap between them. So I'll give you an example. I go to watch a movie. right? Say I'm sitting and watching a Hindi movie, and there's a scene where the son is meeting the mother and goes, "Ma, gale logo," and they're having one of those emotional reunions. Guess what Asha is doing? She's crying, right? Now I'm completely not aware of the fact that my sadness or my feeling of sadness at that point of time has crossed the threshold or has touched a threshold. So my awareness and threshold for sadness is a very small distance. Okay. Now, if I want to get better control over my sadness, that particular emotion, I have two choices. One is I either get aware of it quicker or I try and raise the threshold. So that the higher this gap is, the more of an opportunity I have to manage it better. Okay, so it's like profitability, right? So you either increase your revenues or you decrease your expenses, right? Only two ways in which you can increase your profitability. That's exactly what it is. You either lower your awareness level so you can get aware of it quicker, or you raise your threshold level so that you have more time to manage that emotion. Okay, so that's the second element of personal competence, which is about self-management. So when people say, don't get angry, it's not about don't get angry, it's about manage that. So learn to manage that so that you don't appear emotionally unstable. Right? So it's how do you then cope with that, but not becoming like a robot, not becoming like, a person who doesn't have any awareness, but to be aware of it and yet to be able to manage within the boundaries of that awareness. That's the point of self-management. Then we come to social competence, which is about other people. So self-awareness is about myself. Social competence is about social awareness, which is, okay, so my team members, what do I know about them? What do I know about their values? What do I know about what triggers them? Right? Do I know whether my team member is more prone towards getting angry? Or are they the kind of people who are more towards afraid, fear? What is it? What could I say that would make them hurt? So that's the kind of social awareness that we're talking about. And lastly, it's also then about relationship management. So how do I then use that awareness to build more effective long-term relations? Broken down, that is what emotional intelligence is all about. I'm sure you've seen this before. I'm sure it's not new, right? But that's basically what it is. Does anybody have any questions about what we've covered so far? Keep thinking about it. If you want to put your questions later, that's fine as well. But if there's something, just please keep putting it into the chat and then we can keep talking about it as we go. How to measure? Lena, that's a good question. There are lots of EI measurement tools that are available in the market. So they are more like 360-degree tools, right? So there are 360 tools that you can actually look. You can do it with teams, or you can do it with functional teams or matrix teams. It doesn't matter. There's one which is called, I think, EQI. I can't remember offhand, but I'm happy to do a Google search and I can send the information over to CA Sangeeta and CA Ravi Devra and they can share it with you guys, okay? Difference between emotions and feelings, they're pretty much the same. We just use them interchangeably, but they're pretty much the same. Emotions and feelings are the same, okay? For age groups appropriately, okay. I'm not sure that we have them divided for different generations, but I may not be aware of them. So yeah, there may be a few actually which are more age group dependent as well, given that we have a lot of multi-generations working within the same company these days. Let me Google it, okay? Let me Google and get back to you. I'll take it as a next step. Okay. Thank you. Good questions. Thank you. So emotional intelligence then, how do we use it? Like I said, okay, there are multiple ways of looking at it, multiple ways of becoming better at it. Lots and lots of training programs that we run for emotional intelligence. So it's just a big thing in itself. One of the practical elements of using it is what we call as psychological safety. And Dr. Bahal talked about it. Psychological safety, I think, became really big when Google actually ran a project internally. So Google ran a project within Google globally. They called it Project Aristotle. And this was done to look at what was the secret to effective teams. So Google wanted to say that we have a lot of teams within Google globally. Some are doing extremely well. Some are not doing very well. What's the secret of that? What makes certain teams more effective? They actually researched across 180 teams. And they spoke to, I think, a few thousand people in those 180 teams globally. They used 35 statistical models to do their analysis. And they came up with psychological safety as the #1 factor. Now, psychological safety is essentially, in an organization, people feeling safe, people feeling psychologically safe. Now, why is that important? So think of, let's say that you are on an empty, dark street at night, and you're attacked by 2 people with guns. That's a physical safety issue. Now, when you feel physically unsafe, you have certain hormones that get generated in the body, right? That gives rise to the flight or fight response. What we've seen is that with psychological safety, the exact same hormones are released and the exact same fight or flight response happens, even if there is no physical safety problem there. So physically, I might be completely safe, but psychologically, I feel unsafe. And then the same fight or flight response happens. Okay. So that's why it's important these days in organizations to look at psychological safety, because what we've seen is that most times ineffective leaders create psychologically unsafe places. Okay, I used to work in this company back in India many, many years ago. It was an American company. It's a pretty big organization. It was going great until we got a new senior leader. What this man did, he started creating small cliques. He started creating small groups of people who were yes people to him, right? They would say, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir, right? So they were his yes people. In meetings, anybody else would get fired. He would shout at people. If anybody said to him that this is not what we should be doing, this is what we should be doing, this is what we had talked about in the previous meeting, he would yell at them. He would say things like, do you want to have a job here tomorrow? He would say, I'm walking around with a bunch of dismissal letters in my pocket, right? So much so that within 2 or 3 meetings, all of us learned to just shut up. Nobody would say a word in his meetings, not one word. Everybody felt unsafe. Everybody felt, Are yaar, mera kya jata hai? People actually would say that, ki mere baap ka kya jata hai? I'm coming here, I need a salary, I'm getting a salary, that's it. I don't care. And what happened also was morale dipped. And within 6 months, all of us left. All of us. All of us found new jobs, all of us left. Okay, so psychological safety is crucial because the more people feel psychologically safe, the more they feel they can contribute, the more they go that extra mile, the more they do what we call as being ambassadors of the company. Okay, so Vaidehi, okay, so you're asking me for programs so leaders can be trained on EI. Sure, there is the emotional intelligence company of Daniel Goleman. They do a lot of workshops. There is the workshops that are done by a lot of leadership companies across the globe. Again, I'll send you some. I'll send you some information. I'll send you some links so you can have a look at them. Okay. All right. So that's about psychological safety, where people feel safe, they feel secure. And there are 5 elements to psychological safety. And we call that with the acronym of SCARF, SCARF, SCARF. So what I want to do is show you another video where you can actually understand about SCARF. So I'm just going to again start the video. Give me just 1 second.
One of the most interesting things about teamwork is that it seems like it should be easy, but trust makes working with others more complicated than it looks. Our brains are constantly trying to decide if others are a friend or foe, and the bucket we put someone into determines how open we are to trusting them. The SCARF model is a helpful way to understand how trust is won or lost between humans. SCARF is an acronym. S stands for status, or how we feel in relation to others. When we feel lesser than others, it affects our ability to build trust. It's natural to try to make ourselves look good in relation to others in an effort to prove our value to the group, but this can inadvertently make others feel small. In a team, it's important to make sure that no one person is positioned as more valuable than another. What can you do to make sure everyone feels valued? C stands for certainty. The brain really loves certainty because when things are certain, our brains can relax. Conversely, uncertainty is scary. Think about it. In monster movies, you almost never see the entire monster. They're always lurking in the shadows, keeping your brain on guard and alert. Because the brain doesn't like unknowns, it is constantly trying to predict what will happen next. But without enough information, the brain will fill in the blanks, usually with worst-case scenario possibilities. This leads to people feeling unsettled and vulnerable. You can combat this problem by communicating often. Information leads to certainty, and that builds trust. A stands for autonomy. When we're given autonomy to make decisions, it signals that others believe in our abilities, and that builds trust. But when we're not given a choice, it makes us feel like our opinions are not valued or wanted. Here's a teamwork tip. The next time you're updating a group on next steps, try giving them a choice. Even a tiny choice is rewarding for the brain. For example, if you were trying to determine what time to start the meeting, it would be more effective to say, would you like to start at 8 or 8:15, than simply declaring, the meeting will start at 8. R stands for relatedness. Humans are hardwired to connect with other humans because we know we are stronger together. When we feel like we are accepted for who we are, we feel safe to be ourselves, which is the conduit to thinking, creativity, and collaboration. But when we feel like we're not accepted, our threat response is activated and we keep our talents all locked up. Within any team, creating a feeling of belonging for all is the key to trust. F stands for fairness. The brain has a fundamental need for things to be equitable. When we perceive that something isn't fair, a threat response is triggered and trust is compromised. From now on, put yourself in other people's shoes and consider how fair they might perceive a situation. And if you're not sure, don't be afraid to ask, does this sound fair to you? Trust is crucial for teams and collaboration. With the SCARF model, you have a powerful framework to build trust within your teams. Try it on and see how it works for you. E-Leadership Academy, online training, real-life results.
Hello, everybody. So you know the drill. What did you like about this video? Creating ownership, yeah. What else did you like about it? Yes, Raviji, can you talk a bit more about trust? So you said trust.
Asha ji, here now the trust is the main factor. When a person has to be keep the people in the trust within our team. If you 8 and 8:15 was the right choice, then instead of saying that's only 8 o'clock, this is become a bonding within a team. So this is one of the things which I see that it is a good thing.
Yeah, it's about creating ownership. Yeah, giving the job security. It's more than job security, actually, isn't it? It's just giving them that feeling of security. I feel secure. I feel safe. So that's what it is. It helps in team building. It helps in getting the desired outputs. Yeah, it's about autonomy. It makes you get that autonomy. It makes you feel more in control, gives you the confidence. Absolutely. It helps to build trust. I think that's absolutely crucial. And that actually helps with bringing your team together. You know, we talk these days about going that extra mile, right? Doing what we call as discretionary effort. People putting in the discretionary effort. That's what we talk about here in terms of all of these things that, you know, we talk about as leadership these days. Yeah, team includes everyone. So it doesn't matter. We shouldn't be making anybody feel irrelevant. That's true. And we've also realized that in today's world, especially because, you know, we have all of these global organizations, right? And we are working from home. We're doing all these matrix structures. All of that, that's a reality today, which means that it's become even more important to make sure everybody is included. And that's why there's so much of focus these days on diversity, equity, and inclusion as well. Because it's not like back in the 80s and the 90s when, you know, I used to work in, say, Mumbai. In my team, out of the 20 people that we were working in the office, 18 of them were Maharashtrians, Marathi-speaking people from Maharashtra. And invariably, they would end up speaking Marathi in the office, right? 2 people did not know Marathi, it didn't matter. Siklo. You're here, you have to learn, right? So it was something like that. It didn't matter, but now it's not so anymore. So it's become more and more important that we include everybody, that we bring everybody together under a common vision, under a common umbrella. So SCARF, just to highlight, SCARF, again, not everybody will say that all of them are equally important for each one of us, right? So for example, for me, autonomy is definitely more important than certainty. I'm very happy to work in places where things are not certain. I'm very happy where it's not about status. I don't care about status, but I care about autonomy, right? I care about fairness. So if you ask me what's most important for me in those 5, I will say it's autonomy and fairness. So think for yourselves, what would be the most important for you out of those 5, you think? So start to get aware of yourselves now. Autonomy and fairness for Unmesh, fairness for Leena. Yeah, fairness, autonomy, fairness for Vaidehi, and Dekan says it's fairness. Sarita says it's fairness. So for a lot of you, fairness is very important, right? Some certainty for Hemant. Fairness and certainty. So for each of us, it's different. So as a leader, what are you supposed to do now then? As a leader, when you go back to your team, recognize that not everybody will have fairness because you have fairness. For you, fairness is important, but for them, something else may be important, right? So ask them the question, what is it for you, right? What is important for you? How do I make this a safe place for you? How do I make sure that you want to come to work on this team? Transparency. But Vaidehi, I would like you to try and link that transparency back to one of the 5. So does transparency link to status, certainty, autonomy? What does it link to? And Shilpa, it depends on the situation. Yes and no, because this is more about you as a what is really important for you from a work point of view. Okay, I'm not talking about now from a personal point of view. From a work point of view, think about it. And Yeah, okay, fairness. Because there, some of these things are fundamental to us, okay? It doesn't change from situation to situation. It could change like personal relationship versus work relationship, but not within a work relationship space. So all of them lead to ownership and trust. Well said. Yes, Mr. Subramaniam, they all lead to that. And for some of us, like I said, it's not all 20%. Okay, just because there's 5, that doesn't come up to 100% like that. For me, status is not that important. Certainty is though really less important for me, but the others are more important for me. So I would like you also to think about that in terms of thinking on this journey, what is it that's important for me? Okay, I have a very small, like a self-assessment that you can do on this. I'll find that and I'll send it across as well to either Sangeeta or to Ravi, and they can share it with all of you. So just do it for yourselves. So aapko khud pata chal jayega ki aapko kya important lagta hai. Okay. So I just again want to leave you with this quote, which Dr. Bahal had also shared earlier. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And this was actually said by President Roosevelt, who was the American president. So good luck on your journey, leadership journey. I really wish you all a lot of success in being mindful and impactful leaders. And this is the first step. Yeah. Anytime you want any help or you just want to talk about this, please feel free to reach out. And I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Okay. Thank you once again for inviting me here today.
Thank you, Asha ji. Thank you, Asha ji. For a great.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
I am sharing my email ID on the chat for all of you. So please feel free to reach out. Yeah. Any questions, anything to say, please, again, I'm eager to hear.
Oh, first of all, it was such an excellent presentation. At one point, I took out my pen and started making notes. So,
oh, that's good.
Thank you so much. I hope there are others who have questions. Also, we would love to hear your questions, please.
Yeah, any question is fine.
Questions can be put on the chat.
Yeah.
Or in the question association as well.
Yeah.
And if someone would like to ask the questions, we would not, we'll give you the access to speak as well.
Raise your hand. If you can raise your hand, we can allow you to speak. One person is raise your hand. Yeah, perfect. Mr. Vedye, please unmute yourself. Vedahi, Mrs. Vedahi.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Good afternoon, Asha. It was a nice session. Enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Vedahi.
So I would like to know your experience as a leader and as an employee. How was your journey, and of all these factors which was mentioned, which really came to as a learning for you?
That's a great question as well. So for that, I'll have to kind of tell you a little bit more about my journey so you understand how it all started. Okay.
Yeah.
So I began my career many years back as an IT trainer. So I was working with Aptech computer education in India, and I was teaching IT subjects, programming subjects. And I used to work for a franchise center of Aptech in a small town in India called Ranchi, which is in Jharkhand. Okay. So we were a small unit. We didn't know anything about leadership. We didn't know anything. I mean, for us, it was just getting the job done. And it was very, one of those very small, literally gharelu kind of an office. Okay. So my first experience of leadership from a bigger point of view came about, or more formally came about, when I joined America Online in 2002. So AOL, America Online, had put up a call center in Bangalore. And I joined them there as the head of training. So that was the first time I actually came across all these models and all these, different ways of looking at things. Prior to that, I used to have these negative conversations with some managers. And like I mentioned to you, this whole feeling of being unsafe because of this manager, the way he used to walk around and talk. And it kind of, I used to feel ki, ye kya ho raha hai? Why are some people like this and some people like that? But did not have a model to put it all together. So when I then began my journey as a leader, for me, it was all about trial and error, right? Do something, it wouldn't work, do something else, that wouldn't work, do something. So it was all trial and error. And I really wish today that back then I had known some of these things, because I think I would have definitely been much more effective. I remember when I got this team, and I just kind of said to this person who was on my team, I said, go and do it. I'm sure you can learn how to do it. He said, I don't know how to do it. You'll learn. Jaake karo yaar, seekh jaoge. Right?
Yeah.
And today I'm thinking, what did I do? That's one of the worst things one can do as a leader. So that was bad. Then I actually attended a few leadership programs. The first big thing that really struck me, emotionally, I've always been very aware. Self-awareness has always been a big strength for me. But it was about managing those emotions, because I would get very angry very quickly and I would just let loose like that. I would get hurt very easily and I would say, I'm very hurt. This is not how you should be behaving with me. So that self-management piece was a big thing for me, because the self-awareness I was always very good at. The social awareness I was always very good at. I'm very, very highly intuitive that way. But it was a management aspect that really was a big learning for me in terms of understanding how to do that. So that's been the big learning for me.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody else? Please raise your hand. Sangeeta, over to you, maybe.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the insightful and engaging presentation, Asha ji. It was
pleasure. Thank you.
simply wow, I must say. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
so much of, takeaway points and so much of learning. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. It was wonderful interacting with all of you. That was not the best interaction, but anyway.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Would you please stop sharing your screen so, I can take over? Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Now, I would request Subramanian ji to kindly present the e-certificate to Asha ji.
Yes, आशा जी, आपने मौसम बदल दिया.
शुक्रिया जी, शुक्रिया.
All who have attended this seminar, you have touched upon their emotions.
Oh, that's such a nice thing to say. Thank you so much.
Good. And I'm honored to present you this small memento which Institute offers, Muscat chapter offers.
Thank you. The honor is all mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Asha ji, for your presentation. Nice to hear you. And I'm also from Ranchi. I did my schooling and college in Ranchi. So when I heard you talking about Ranchi, I said, this is something great.
It's a small world.
Yes,
I loved my stay in Ranchi. I have such amazing memories of Ranchi. It's just wonderful. And मुझे जाना है वापस.
Yes. मेरे को भी 30 साल हो गया जाके, अभी जाना पड़ेगा.
Achha, I have to apologize. I'm not very formal in my talking. इसलिए I'm not habituated to saying G or Mr. or Miss or whatever to people. So I'm so sorry. मैं सबको first नाम से बुला रही थी. I really apologize for that.
That's very good. That brings you near to us.
Thank you.
Next quickly.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Asha ji, for all your time. And thank you, Subramanian ji, also. Now we will move forward. May I request CA Sajeev Surendran, Vice Chairman, of ICAI Muscat chapter to formally conclude the event.
Thank you. Thank you, Sangeeta ji. My mindset is also same like, everyone, it's, if you look at the last 2 hours, 10 minutes, or 2 hours, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, in fact, 2 hours, 40 minutes spent with ICAI Muscat chapter with the speakers, and it was worth spending. And definitely this 2.5 hours impacted our leadership styles, and both the speakers were excellent. Now let me formally give the vote of thanks. On behalf of Muscat chapter of ICAI and the members of ICAI, Dr. Khalfan Barwani, Vice President, Central Bank of Oman, I thank him for being here with for his time and words. Also, I thank HE Munu Mahawar for his time and few words, and also continued support from the Embassy of India. CA Jambusaria, our President of ICAI, thanking for his time and words, also sharing ICAI the action plans. Also, I would like to thank Dr. Mr. Anis Lawati, Acting Dean CBFS. We thank him for all his support and continued support from CBFS as our partner. And finally, Dr. Bahal. Dr. Bahal, he reminded us, or he's given us simple definition of a leader whose action gives a kind of a whose action speaks, inspires to do more or to dream. So that's a simple definition which he has given. Also, the wonderful session which he has given for 60 minutes. So that was a terrific session. Thanking for him for his session and inspiring us with his words. And on behalf of Muscat chapter, we thank Ms. Asha Shridhar ji for her time and for her terrific session. And it remains, thank her for her remaining one particular thing. People don't follow leaders simply like that. There should be a reason for it. So that's a wonderful quote she shared with us. Thanks for her time and the speech. And then formally, I thank CBFS and College of Banking and Financial Studies being our sponsors. And also, I thank our past chairpersons and managing committee members for their presence and wonderful words. Finally, to the members in large who attended the session, thank everyone for their presence. And finally, to the MC members who did a dedicated job of a wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now we'll have a group photo. We'll have a group photo, please. Let's everybody can take a pose.
I had taken some photos. Still,
yeah, but we can take now. Now with the
again, I am taking it. Can everybody can start the cameras, please? Done.
Thank you, Digaji. Thank you, Asha ji, for your kind help.
Thank you, Asha ji.
Will be
my pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Yeah, stay in touch. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Subramanian, for being so active throughout. You kept giving your thoughts, and it really made the whole workshop more interesting thanks to your inputs.
Thank you.
Yes, PRSG always there with us in the same way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job, everyone. We concluded the first event well.
Everyone, thank you. Raviji.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
We are waiting first time, I think, on this.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Thank
Have
you.
a great day ahead.
Raviji, everybody, in fact, all of us. Good.
Bye.
It's a teamwork. Yeah.
Nice
Thank
teamwork.
you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Great. So I'm leaving this. Thank you very much, Sangeeta ji.
Shall I leave?
Yes, we are leaving.
Shall I leave? Okay.